Welcome to the Becoming Years. Allow me to welcome the woman behind the voice and journey. Your host, Alina Wilson, is a mother, entrepreneur, aesthetics, wellness clinic owner, and author of Thoughtful Aging, restoring honor to the aging process with intention and grace. Her becoming years have been shaped by courage, reinvention, and wisdom. And the truth is, she is still becoming. Because the becoming years are not about who you were, they're about who you choose to become. No matter your age or your story, we are all still becoming. Alina, the mic is yours.
Welcome to the Becoming Years, episode 2. Have you ever been in a space where you were questioning your worth or your beauty? You weren't sure if the way you were presenting yourself was actually the way that you felt inside? I can tell you that as an aesthetics clinic owner for the last 19 years, you are not alone. And in all transparency, I find myself in the past few months just really questioning my own beauty. And I don't know why. I don't know if it's because I just turned 54. I don't know if I'm looking at myself differently than I have in the past, or if it's just a season that I'm going through. I really don't know, but I'm here for all of it, and I'm going to figure it out. And so that got me thinking about the why, and what do we do when we're feeling a little bit unsteady about how we look and who we are. And for me, I'm such a logical to-do type person, which is its own challenge, getting stuck in your head. But for me, I find a lot of comfort and stability in creating a list, a to-do list. I can't do that always with how we feel, but there are things that we can do that are logical, action-based steps to help us find our place of center again, or maybe get back in touch with the essence of who we are. We know that there's the beauty that we see on the outside, and there's the beauty that we feel on the inside. And I'm in a season of life right now where I'm so much more focused on the beauty that I feel on the inside. And as an aesthetics clinic owner for the past 19 years, I can promise you that there are hundreds of women out there who are going through this same transition. They're looking in the mirror and they're realizing that they don't look on the outside how they feel on the inside. There's a vibrancy and a youth and just a return to passion that we experience in our 40s and 50s and 60s as our children grow up and move away, as our relationships mature and develop, as our partnerships become really solid and stable. And on the flip side of that, there's also the questioning that we have when maybe those things aren't going the way that we want them to, when we do start feeling differently about maybe the partnerships that we're in and the relationships that we're in. The things that defined us before in earlier stages of life, the career, the education, the individuation from being a young adult to becoming an adult. And then the whole aging process itself can be very unsettling for a lot of people. My experience and my interactions with women throughout different transitions of life have given me so much insight into the different stages of development that we go through. What I've learned from these beautiful conversations with women throughout different decades and transitions is that we're all going through the same things at different times. And so today I just want to focus on some really practical, actionable steps that we can take to return to center, to find ourselves in moments throughout the day. or create just a little more space for growth as we continue to navigate the uncertainty of transitions or experience the joy of stability. Either way, taking care of yourself is a non-negotiable. You must do it. And I say that with love in my heart. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm actually just inviting you into a different perspective if it's not something you've done before, and encouraging you to continue on if it is something that you do on a daily practice. Okay, so 10 ways to feel more beautiful, and these are things that I have gleaned from conversations with women. What do you do when you're feeling lost? What do you do when you want to create space where you can acknowledge the beauty of who you are, both inside and outside? And these are backed by science and human stories. So, number 1, pause and feel your body before you make a decision about how you look and who you are in this moment. And most of us live in evaluation mode. If you're like me, you spend a lot of time in your head. Like I said, you look for flaws, you check the mirror to see what's changed. You compare yourself to others. And that's one thing I want to point out. If you're in your 20s, my heart goes out for you. I cannot imagine living in a world at that age where I was inundated with social media images of women or friends or circumstances or situations that were asking me to compare myself to others in a negative way. I don't know what that's like. I didn't live that in my 20s. In my 20s, I was a single parent to 3 children under the age of 6, raising them on my own. I didn't have time to compare myself to others, but I can imagine that it creates a lot of insecurity for you. And so, with that being said, I want to encourage you to create moments for yourself that allow you to set that aside and just really honor yourself. One way that we can do that is by just recognizing our bodies. I know that for me, I didn't really get in touch with my body as a communication method until I realized that I was living most of my life in pain. The pain that I was experiencing was just a constant ache, internal discomfort, external pain. I had back pain all the time. I had abdominal issues. I had even a surgery for diverticulitis. I was told I had diverticulitis, and that was new to me. It wasn't until I left my marriage at the age of 48, created a safe space for myself where I realized a lot of that pain and discomfort was my body trying to tell me that I needed to leave. And I hadn't honored that, not by choice, but because I just didn't recognize that that's the message that it was sending. So my encouragement to you in that is to just stop and feel your body. Is it sending you a message? Is it trying to tell you something? And in neuroscience, a lot of times just shifting attention away from evaluation to sensation, it activates a different pathway in the brain. And that awareness, just that simple felt attention to your body, it turns off the parts of the threat response in the amygdala, and it calms the nervous system. And the body has an opportunity to notice safety and ease, not discomfort and fear and fight or flight. This is really important because when the nervous system settles, you will feel more relaxed, you'll feel more beautiful, and you'll feel more present in your body. And then you can start making those connections between who you are and how you feel. And that helps you become... Okay, so second thing, now that you've taken a moment to really get back into your body, recognize your body through a gentle touch. take a minute, grab a body lotion, rub it onto your skin, not to look better, but just because it feels nice. Give your body that attention. When you do that, you're releasing oxytocin. It's a hormone that signals safety and connection. And a lot of times we think that we need this from another person, but you can actually create this release, chemical release in yourself, by yourself, just by giving yourself some love. Women in studies on body image who practice self-compassion, writing kind notes to themselves, turning off social media to really just honor who they are and where they are, they report less dissatisfaction afterwards compared to other groups who never create that space for themselves. Kindness directly buffers the negative effects of comparing ourselves to others on social media. And there was one woman that I was talking to, and she shared with me, when I shut off social media, I immediately feel better. I want to love myself more. I want to be kind to myself more. I want to honor the path that I've walked. And when we're constantly distracted by those images and things that ask for our attention in a negative way, it's really challenging to feel positive about ourselves. So that's biology. Oxytocin release will lead you closer to self-compassion and relax your nervous system so that you can step back into feeling more beautiful. Okay, number 3. How often have you pulled an outfit out of the closet, really wanted to wear it, and then thought, whoa, what would people think if I actually stepped out of the house in this outfit? I know that I've done that. I'm questioning my outfits. Not often anymore because I've kind of outgrown that stage, but I can imagine that if you're in a place where you want to be authentic, you want to present yourself the way you want the world to see you, but you risk belonging to the group that you've identified with, being ostracized by them. When we're faced with a choice of self-acceptance or belonging, our natural instinct is to choose to belong. And so we set that outfit back in the closet and do what we think is expected of us. But here's the thing. When you wear clothes that match how you actually feel, not how you think you should look, it reduces that background noise in your nervous system, and you're able to more fully self-express in a way that's genuine and authentic to you. And that is beautiful. So beautiful. Number 4, let yourself be seen. And I don't mean just in social groups and things like that, but in a way that allows you to truly be known by another person. It took me decades to figure this one out, just from a personal standpoint. In fact, I was 48 years old before I actually truly revealed myself to a good friend who confronted me with the truth that I never talk about myself. I'm really good at getting other people to talk about themselves, but I never truly revealed anything deeply transparent about myself. It took me a minute to understand what she was saying, and I said, well, what do you mean? I talk about myself all the time. And she said, no, you don't. You talk about the things that you do. You don't talk about who you really are and what your life is really like. And so she started asking me questions like, well, tell me about what was raising children like for you? And I went into a little bit about that, my first marriage, being a single parent, working 2 and sometimes 3 jobs to keep everything together. And then she said, well, what is your life like now? And I started talking to her about my marriage, but not in the 30,000-foot view, everything's perfect on paper way, in the real day-to-day challenge, experiences that I had lived within that marriage that nobody knew about. And I found myself standing at my kitchen sink with tears streaming down my face, realizing at age 48 that the words I was speaking to her and the life that I had actually lived was not the life that I had created in my head or the life that others saw me as living. Because again, on paper, it was picture perfect. Owned a business, married to a doctor, had a nice house, all the little ducks were in a row, A, B, C. But where was I in all of that? The reality was that I was questioning myself in my marriage. It was completely dysfunctional. I was tolerating behavior that was unhealthy for me. And I knew there was a part of me that knew that relationship was not going to work. And so when I finally told my story and faced the reality of the situation I was living in, I then had a choice. What am I going to do about it? And I don't know that I would have gotten there if I hadn't allowed myself to be seen. And there's science behind this too. In social safety, in these groups that we're in, knowing that you're accepted, it creates a false sense of safety. You do have to suppress yourself to maintain that, and you can't fully self-express and live the life that you were meant to live when you are living under this umbrella of belonging and adjusting your behavior to belong rather than bringing your full self to the surface and saying, this is who I am, this is how I want to be, these are the decisions I'm making, and I'm going to stand in that authenticity and that truth. So when you let your guard down with someone, it registers connection, and that opens the pathway for you to reconnect to yourself. And that connection feels so good, a little bit scary, but there's a safety in that too, because you're finally getting back to a place where you can honor yourself and honor the true passion and desire that you have to deeply connect with your beauty and with who you really are. Now, number 5, move in ways that feel good to you. I met a woman years ago at the clinic who came in and she was looking for a sunscreen, and I got to talking to her, and she had just such a brightness about her. And she shared with me that she had just over the past year lost 100 pounds. And I said, how did you do that? How did you do that? And I'm thinking that she's going to tell me that she went through some rigorous exercise routine, that she jumped on the treadmill for an hour a day, every day of the week. And that's not at all what she told me. What she told me was that she woke up one day and she realized that she was not honoring her future self. So she had a conversation with her future self, and it went something like this. How do I want to live and be 10 years from now? And are the decisions that I'm making today going to get me there? And she realized through that conversation with her future self that she was going to have to make changes today if she wanted to be that person in the future. And so she shifted her entire way of living changed, basically. She changed the way that she was eating. She started walking, not because she was punishing herself or out of guilt or shame, but because she created a platform of motivation based in joy of who she was becoming, not who she was in that moment. And her motivation then led her to the consistency that it took for her to achieve the goal that she had set for herself to honor her future self and what that future self wanted. And I can tell you from what I know about brain chemistry that your body will release endorphins and serotonin and hormones that are linked to pleasure and mood elevation when you make decisions and take action based out of a place of joy rather than shame or guilt. And when it comes to physical activity, we do have to touch on that because that's such an important aspect of aging. Do the things that make you feel good without pressure. Maybe it's walking a half a mile a day or a mile a day. If you feel inspired to join a gym, join the gym. But do it because you want to, not because you feel like you have to. Anytime you start a new exercise routine, find something that brings you joy. Maybe it's dancing. Maybe it's just simply getting on your bike again, or creating a workout routine for yourself that allows you to move your body in ways that it's being asked to move. I know for me, I joined a gym a year ago. I can tell you that I've probably been there less than 12 times in the last 10 months. But I joined a gym because my girlfriend Lisa, love you Lisa, she said, join this gym so we can go work out together. And you know what we've done more than working out together? Drank margaritas. And I have no regrets. But now my gym membership is coming up and I'm really seriously asking myself, are you going to rejoin that gym and actually do it? Or can you create a routine for yourself that involves the things that you love? What do you really want to do? And when I'm being honest with myself, I don't want to go walk on a treadmill. I want to go pole dance. I want to do aerial yoga. I want to get back into salsa and bachata. And so that's a decision I'm going to put off for another month or two. But those are the questions that I'm asking myself. What is really genuine and authentic to me when I think about moving my body? Okay. Number 6. Recognize what your body has carried you through. One way to return to a true sense of beauty, and it's one of the most transformative shifts that I've seen women make, is stopping to honor what your body has carried you through. For me, I've had 3 babies. I've birthed 3 humans. I see the stretch marks on my body, and my natural inclination is to judge myself, to say, man, those are never going to go away. I wish we didn't have these. What would my body be like if I hadn't? What would my body be like if I had had someone at the age of 18 tell me, put lotion on so your skin can stretch? Get to know your body in a different way. I didn't have that in my life. And so now I carry scars with me. And I have to oftentimes stop and consciously shift those automatic negative thoughts into something positive. Like, no, you have these scars on your body because you brought 3 amazing, incredible human beings into the world. And they are young men and a young woman now who are actually shifting society in a way that's beneficial. My boys are amazing parents. My daughter is a world traveler. I see them doing things that I only ever dreamed of at their age. And it's because this body that I'm living in allowed for that. If you're someone who has not had the opportunity to have children in life yet, or not made that choice for yourself, what other ways can you honor your body? What does your body do for you? Are those lines and those wrinkles that you see in the mirror signs of depth, of aging, of compassion, of time and treasure and talent that you give to others in your day-to-day life? Sometimes we carry stories of survival There's a scar here or there that you didn't ask for. These unforced scars, both internally and externally, can be a sign of resilience, of endurance. Let's take a moment and just honor again and recognize what your body has carried you through from a place of self-compassion, not criticism. The meaning that you apply to all of these moments in time that you see on the surface creates the narrative that you tell yourself. When you can shift that narrative from something critical to something empowering, then you can see the true beauty that you hold, both internally as an amazing woman and both externally as a woman who has lived a life to be celebrated. Number 7, okay. This is coming a little bit full circle on the social media thing because I want to dive a little bit deeper into that. These ideal images that we are shown on a day-to-day basis through social networking sites, those are not helpful. They invite criticism, not love. And through comparison, we will constantly be judging ourselves. From a chemical standpoint, when you see these images and you allow yourself to feel judged, or you judge yourself based on what you see from others, what's happening is you're releasing cortisol in your brain. That's the stress hormone. So you're going to feel more upset, more discomfort, not because you're choosing it, but because it's actually a chemical change happening in your body. I was at a conference recently, and the speaker shared with us that it takes only 3 seconds for your brain to register shame, but it takes 30 to 60 seconds for your brain to register joy. And what I mean by register is really integrate into your being. Think about that for a minute. It takes 3 seconds to integrate into your being the feeling of shame, and 30 to 60 seconds to integrate into your being the feeling and the sense of joy. And so if we are not creating boundaries for ourselves when it comes to social media and how much time that we spend looking at comparison images, we are not giving ourselves the opportunity to live or feel a sense of joy about who we are and the beautiful gifts that we bring to the world, because we're constantly integrating shame and through comparison. So please reconsider how you're using social media and see what it's like to just go a day without it. Or maybe that's too much for you now. Go an hour without it. Go 3 hours without it. When we think about making a change, we can think about it this way. Say you're going to the gym and you're lifting 100 pounds and you want to get to 150 or 200 pounds. You don't go to the gym the next day and just lift 200 pounds. No, you have to work up to it. You have to create a change in your life, in your body, where you can lift 100 pounds. So you go to the gym and you lift 110 pounds. And then when you've got that down, you lift 120 pounds. My point is that if you want to make a change and create more joy and beauty in your life, do it by making small changes. And that way you're not setting yourself up for the feeling of deprivation or the sense of failure because you haven't done that complete 180 and changed your entire life in just a day. Do it in small amounts. Just turn it off for an hour, turn it off for 2 hours, turn it off for a half a day, turn it off for a day, turn it off for 2 days. See what feels genuine and authentic to you, but make a change so that you can start seeing yourself from a new perspective in a place of joy and beauty and love and self-acceptance and compassion. That leads us to number 8, which ties directly into number 7. once you make that shift and you create space for yourself to return to your true source of beauty and love, you'll be able to more easily talk to yourself with kindness. The voice that you use matters neurobiologically. When you hear your own voice saying something kind to yourself, it lowers your stress response more effectively than just silent thoughts alone. So when you do this, you're engaging your prefrontal cortex, and that creates a new connection between what you think and what you feel. It allows you to hear yourself saying kind things, and I do mean actually literally speaking this out loud. It's a lot harder than it sounds, especially if you're standing in front of a mirror doing it. But it allows you to create a new connection that changes what you believe about yourself. It brings that to life. It takes you from those automatic negative thoughts back to something positive that reinforces that you do belong, you are beautiful, you have a place, you have a purpose. Your whole body relaxes, your shoulder relaxes. It creates a sense of safety for yourself. And that's the nervous system literally shifting from fight or flight to rest and recovery. Okay, number 9, we're almost there, stick with me. Tap into your creativity. Just find that space, that little spark of joy where your passion lives. And maybe it's something that you used to do in the past, painting or dancing or music or giving of yourself to a nonprofit cause or whatever it is. Think back to your childhood. And if you can't get in touch with that, call a friend, ask a friend, hey, when we're together, you've known me for a long time, when do you see me light up the most? When is it that you see me the happiest? What am I talking about? What am I doing? And use those reflections to really return to that sense of purpose and joy in yourself, that little spark that makes you who you are. And then once you figure out what that is, create something by yourself and for yourself intentionally. Don't share this with anybody else yet. Don't do the Snapchat and the Instagram thing and put it online and say, this is what I'm doing now. Create an engagement opportunity for yourself, by yourself. Doing this invites you into a deeper connection with yourself. There's a reward pathway that lights up with hormone shifts that happen, and your sense of self expands, which feels genuinely, truly beautiful. I spent a lot of years, many, many years in survival mode, just doing and doing and doing and keeping everything together and making things work for my business, my family, my kids. And that's what was required of me during that time. But it wasn't sustainable. It wasn't a good way to live. I realized that I needed to express myself through projects. I needed to express myself as a way of connecting with myself. And so I started dancing again. This was a number of years ago. I started dancing again, and in that, I was able to get back in touch with something that I had set aside that was really a deep part of myself for a long time. I had set that down and set that aside. And when I returned to that, I did that for myself and by myself. And that sustained me in those years when I was required to continue to give to others because of the responsibility that I had. And so I would encourage you, if you're in a place of uncertainty or restructuring or not really knowing what to do during a transition in life, go back to that spark and find that passion and different ways to express that as time allows in your day-to-day life. Okay, we did it. We're here, number 10. This is one that's so near and dear to my heart. Rest. Rest without having a reason to rest. Rest without earning it. Rest is not a luxury. It's biologically necessary. When we're in day-to-day life situations where chronic stress is constant in our lives, what happens is our cortisol levels are elevated. We get tired, we get irritable, we have that internal sense of not enough, like there's just not enough hours in the day. I've been feeling this lately, not enough hours in the day to do all the things. And that's really hard on our nervous systems. When you give your nervous system time to rest, you're allowing it to reset, to come back to homeostasis, to get a little bit closer to that hormonal balance that gives you a sense of being able to carry on and carry forward. It allows you to bring 100% of yourself back to your day-to-day activities. One woman said to me recently that her whole sense of attractiveness changed when she finally honored sleep and created the quiet time that she deserved. And look, I get it. We go through different seasons of life where different things are required of us, and I know that I've had those weeks and those days where I've said to myself, okay, it's Monday, it's Tuesday, it's Wednesday, I haven't had a good rest period. Okay, I'm going to sleep on Sunday. And I know that sounds crazy, but I do have to intentionally set aside time to actually rest when I go so many days in a row of just burning the candle at both ends. I can only sustain that for so long. I have to intentionally set aside time for rest so that I give my body a chance to recover. And it's knowing that I've done that helps me get through those really crazy, stressful weeks. One of the most beautiful things that rest gives us is that sense of safety. Rest signals safety, and safety allows beauty to exist. So there you have it, 10 ways to feel more beautiful as you go through your day-to-day life. More than anything, what I hope you can take away from this is that feeling beautiful is a nervous system state where your inner experience aligns with safety and pleasure and self-kindness. And I would invite you to take some time today and in the following days, find a way to practice self-acceptance and compassion to return to your true source of beauty. Maybe it is every time you come to a red light, you say something kind out loud about yourself to yourself. You take a look at your week and you schedule intentional times of rest. You pull that outfit out of the closet and wear it with confidence, knowing that when you feel beautiful on the inside, that is the beauty the world around you will see too. Until next time, this is your host, Alina Wilson, on The Becoming Years.